what to write about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
That was great sounds of Watts with Outside on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, with my partner in crime, my bearded brother, Mr. Easy Blues. You are better with introductions more than me. What is the topic we are going to talk about today?
We're going to probably talk about one of the most important things you can talk about, period, especially in today's day and age. Something that when setting, you are setting up for your own success. When setting, you are setting up for your own limits. When setting, you are declaring yourself independent and your independence itself. Setting boundaries is one of the most important things you could do. And that is one of the reasons why we are going to talk about it here today on the air. When you're looking at the boundaries you set, P, do you look at every aspect of it, or are there specific guidelines to the boundaries in which you set?
I try not to focus on that too much. Yes, I have boundaries. Yes, I have goals. But I like to focus on the now, what I can control, because I don't want to set too many boundaries where I'm not approachable.
Right.
And I don't want to set too many boundaries where I feel I'm constantly in the same bubble, constantly, nothing's really moving in my direction. So I just take a look at myself. I write a list down of what I can accomplish within the week and what I can't accomplish within the week, and what I will get accomplished probably within 2-3 months from now. So I don't like to stress on my boundaries. Don't get me wrong, I'm more vocal about my boundaries, but I don't want to stress on them. For example, let's just say the way I'm being talked to or approached. I feel I can control that. I feel I can control how someone wants to interact with me or approach to me. If I'm not comfortable with some type of way, I'm going to state it very loudly. I'm not going to be disrespectful with it, but I will be extremely vocal of how I want to be treated. That's a boundary I can't control. My eating boundaries is something I can't control, something that I don't really need. Maybe a snack I don't need within the week, or maybe I'm trying to resist this temporary temptation, if it makes a little bit of sense, that I don't need this snack. I can, focus my mind on something else. Desensitize my mind. That's a boundary I can work on when it comes to, being on social media, being on TV for a long amount of time, getting zoned out, because we're human beings. We all zone out every once in a while, trying to snap that right back out and getting back where I need to focus on. Maybe those are boundaries I can control myself, but not going too far-fetched, if I'm making any sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And it's some people, when they think of boundaries, they think of it just as setting personal boundaries as
of course.
Dealing with other people and things. But you've really expanded the perception of boundaries itself, because you set yourself boundaries as per your schedule. You set yourself boundaries as per how you will be tolerated, how you will tolerate the way you were treated. I like that.
Of course.
How you tolerate the way you were treated. You set those boundaries. Also, making sure that you're not setting yourself up for failure by understanding that you have the long-term and short-term plan. Although it cannot be accomplished today, it will be accomplished by the end of the month, yada, yada, and so forth and so on, or there will be, steps taken to make sure it's accomplished at this date, this time. All those little aspects in which you can control. But, the main point when people are looking at the boundary aspect really is the social, where you're looking at it from who you're letting into your circle, who is benefiting from your time, how do you establish those boundaries?
Of course. Oh, that was a question.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I thought it was more of a statement. I thought you were being rhetorical real quick.
It was more of a philosophical statement that ended in a question.
I'm sorry. Can you rephrase the question? I thought you were being rhetorical. Rephrase it one more time for me, please. I'm sorry.
Word. I'll try to remember what I said. dealing with the interpersonal aspect and
Yeah.
how you set boundaries with the interpersonal when you're dealing with the people that you are investing time in. How do you pick and choose, the people in which you invest your time and you set your boundaries for, and how far you allow them to go in that boundary aspect?
You match energy.
You go.
Definitely match energy. This person's is only giving me 5% or 10% of their time to me. I only matter in this situation of their lives. I'm only matter, let's say, for example, someone at the job. They always count on you for that $1 they want to borrow from you, but
Right.
you can never get $1 from them.
Right.
And they always will only talk to you if they can get that $1. Well, I'm wasting my time with that person. I can find ways to not interact with her. Maybe I can take a lunch break, or maybe I can, work my time around so I can avoid that person who only wants to talk to me and only wants to get my attention when they need something. There's ways to work around that. And what I stated before, matching energy, let's just say you have those certain amount of group or certain amount of clique that only talks to you if it matters, just for, like I said before, needing something, or just a little bit of maybe talk gossip. I think talking gossip is a waste of time. You can only go so far when you talk about gossip. I understand if a person's like really disrespectful to like a whole amount of group of people or a clique, but if you're just gossiping just to do it,
Right.
it's the best word I can say is unattractive to me. I don't like it. There's other stuff we can talk about. What are you doing to build yourself? What are you doing to make sure you're a better version of you today instead of tomorrow? There's other ways to work around it. Why can't we be gossiping over the TV show that we saw last week? Or why can't we be gossiping about, the way some politics are handled? Why can't we be gossiping on, about something being so expensive when it doesn't need to be expensive? I'm saying talking about people really turns me off, and I just tend to stay away from that. So the answer to your question is the energy. So if you give me 10%, I'll give you 10. If you give me 90, I'll give you 90 back. So, life is too short just to focus on, just the little stuff that doesn't need to be concerned about.
Now, for some people that have issue reading social cues, and there's a bunch of us out there that have some issues reading the social cues. How do you?
I was like that.
Yeah. How do you perceive the percentage in which someone is willing to give?
If it's repetitive,
okay.
Especially with belittling, if a person belittles you most of the time and feels they can get away with it, I've worked on those social cues where I don't respond at all.
Right.
I also work on those social cues where, I try to talk about something different. If they try to talk over me, I just don't give them my time. I don't give them my time. I don't give them my space. I don't give them my energy. And I try not to get too personal or how they feel about my reaction to it. I think that's where a lot of people start, because they try to be the good person. A lot of times you maybe just have to be a villain.
Yep.
Because no matter how nice we are to somebody, we're still going to be a villain in someone's story. No matter how many times we are kind to somebody, we still are going to be a villain in someone's story. There's no way we can make everyone on this planet like us. And I want that for the planet. I really do. But I just don't want to get too far off, the answer to your question.
Well, you're actually not that far off at all. It's to bring it back a little bit. You're what you're talking about is setting that boundary. You're setting a boundary as how much you're willing to interact, and you're seeing your ebb and flow and seeing how that person reacts and what they're bringing to the table to make sure that energy is being matched.
Yes.
So that's really what you're talking about. But you are breaking it down much further in that full.
I don't want to get too far off.
No, I got you.
Exactly.
But what you were saying makes complete and total sense. And as you do, set those boundaries, or you do sit and analyze the energy that's being given, so the energy to give. How do you do that and deal with your own social care, your own makeup itself? Because it becomes your social battery can become drained, and that's one of the things that I've noticed is, now that I've taken some time to set a boundary and allow myself time to recharge my social battery, life has been a little bit better for me. I'm not saying it's a lifestyle for everybody, but it worked better for me. How do you do it?
I think it makes me better as a social. I think it doesn't drain my social battery. Let me just think about this. I think it more recharges it
Right.
because when you are on your social battery, when you are on your social battery, if I can speak, you become a little bit wasted, you become a little bit drained. But if I'm not um, expressing being social to you, I'm actually recharging my
Right.
battery. If I'm not responding to your negativity, if I'm not responding to your bullying, if not responding to, the mean treatment you have towards me, I'm recharging it. And then I'm saving my social cues and my good vibration and my good energy to someone who really needs it at that time.
Right.
That's how I feel about it, and that's my answer to your question.
No, that's very very well done, and
Mm.
I have to say, makes complete and total sense. The amount in which you're willing to put forth, when you take yourself, they talk about it on Cobra Kai or in all the Karate Kid movies. The best
Pretty
way
much every
to,
samurai movie.
yeah, the best way to avoid a punch is not be there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? That's the and everyone who does not agree, you've never been punched in the mouth before. That's really all I can say. Those people who are like, no, the best way is to take the punch head on. That's because you've never been hit hard enough. Someone will hit you hard enough, and you'll understand that it's best not to be there one day. That's all.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think also with setting boundaries is just disciplining yourself. You know, for example, are you still a pastor? Are you still
Kind of,
doing
sort of, not.
like what are you doing stuff like religious wise you can say on air?
That I can say on air. I'm still
Mm.
going through a
Okay.
kind of like a deprogramming aspect of it, where
Deprogramming. Break it
yes,
down.
because there's a lot of stuff that is taught in different faiths
Mm.
that is really more subjective of man, and trying to discern the difference between what is put there by a human for a human's purpose and what is put there by a greater power. You start to really unpack the religion itself and all the different aspects of it, and also when you look at the majority of the harm that has happened in this is going to be the most unpopular thing I've probably said on air, but I'm going to say it anyway.
I mean, you don't have to go
Um,
too far. I just want to know just about
right.
the occupation. You just like become with the occupation of becoming a pastor.
Well,
Yeah,
there are still
that's all.
people in which, like, I deal with communities that
Mm.
that conventional faith, it looks like they've turned their back on. Like, I deal with a lot
Okay.
of LGBTQ plus community members
Okay.
that that can find that God is there. Just because some dude in a suit told you that something that was translated in German in 1956 is something that's forever been in the Bible is ridiculous.
So you speak for them.
Yes.
Okay. And it's hard for you to obtain that position because of the audience that you speak for?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Now, what boundaries are you setting to achieve that goal? I know it's not going to happen today or
Right.
tomorrow, but what boundaries are you setting for to become that pastor and to become that beacon of light for that community?
I'm being more open, and I'm also
Right.
willing to, I'm also willing to take the shots.
Okay.
That a lot of people, uh, you know, I talk a lot about, the 2025 initiative.
Mm.
That's terrifying, especially for the LGBTQ plus community. Should be terrifying for every community. They want to take school lunches out of school. Let's be real. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? They want to take all these assisted programs that keep this world running. They want to take it off because they feel it should be a certain way. They're trying to bring faith over. They're trying to bring faith over actual government, which is not needed. It's not the way things are.
Mm.
It's completely against our Constitution. When you have our highest court actually side in favor of violating the Constitution and what the Constitution was made for by stating that one person can have more power and can be completely untouchable, that's ridiculous.
Mm.
So this 2025 addendum is really terrifying, and it's a project that people need to look out for. And it's a project that people need to run and vote as much as they can and as often as they can. And when I say vote often, I don't mean go to the voting booth 10 times. You can only vote once. When I say vote often, I say vote in every election, vote in every single local election, vote in the election for the people in your fire district, vote for your school board elections. That's the voting often we're talking about. We're not talking about handing in 1 million votes. We're saying you vote once, you just vote every time.
Well, I'm happy you're setting your boundaries on that, but I know you are a teacher. What boundaries do you set for your students? 'Cause I know it's a music school and it's in Milford. Am I correct?
Yep. Well, I see what the student wants, and remember that remembering the different aspects of it, because a lot of these guys are kids, and everyone wants to be a superstar,
Of course. Yeah.
and
Valid.
of course,
That's
we're there to make that dream come true, but we're also there in the reality of it all. I mean,
Right.
So I'm there to show people the true love for music and let my love for music shine through that. And then, give them that type of aspect where they can create and they have a safe environment to 100% be themselves, and put 45 minutes worth of work in.
Okay.
We talk about the 10,000 hours. That's one of the things that I'm getting in my classroom is the journey of 10,000 starts with one step. Because I talk to all my kids all the time about to master something, you must do it 10,000 hours.
Of course.
And every time that they're in my room, that's 45 minutes. That is closer to that 10,000 hours. It's they're checking off time of that 10,000 hours. But we're going to put the work in for it. It's going to be 45 minutes of work.
Do the students learn to be more punctual when they're with you in class?
Yes and no.
Okay.
At the end of the day, they're paying for my time, so they can show up whenever they want. I just know that it has to end at this certain time. So whatever you want to bring into this lesson, you bring into this lesson. Again, they're kids, so I can't prevent their parents from running 15 minutes late.
No.
Some things happen. Sometimes life gets in the way.
Not at all.
You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing really we can do in that type of aspect. We just set up the certain time frame, and you have between this point in time and this point in time to be there.
Then what boundaries do you set in the classroom? Like, I understand what you said make absolute sense because kids will be kids, and it's pretty much like a volunteer music service. You pay for those services, but
Yeah.
But what boundaries are you saying? What rules are you implying, just as a teacher and just working with the kids? Because there just has to be protocol and set guidelines for what you do.
Well, I mean, there's guidelines from the corporation itself because we are a franchise.
Right.
So there's guidelines from that corporation itself to ensure, stuff that should be common sense. If I'm being honest, it really should be common sense. Like, hey, you're not supposed to, give the child your cell phone number. You know what I'm saying? Because that's creepy.
It really is. It's insane.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm good. I'll talk to your parent, and the parent doesn't have to call me either because they can call the people in the front office.
They can
speak to them.
They absolutely
and then
can.
They can speak to me, and that's how our relationship goes. So that's a pretty big boundary. We want to make sure. They call it fraternization, and I was like, wait, I have to sign a fraternization clause for people that are 8 years old? That's creepy. But it's something that you need to enforce. And if it's not, not being enforced, that's creepy. I can't enforce that enough. But yeah, so there are those different type of boundaries. Like, there's certain things like I try to Keanu Reeves through life on everything. And from what people will know, when Keanu Reeves takes a picture with a female or something, the hand's hovering. He's never touching the person. He's never invading that person's space. You got to. So I do that, obviously with the children, I make sure that there's a certain amount of footage between us, because there should be a certain amount of footage between us. I make sure the camera is running the entire time, because I'm not trying to do that, bro. Like that. Ain't gonna catch me out of school.
All right. We went from teacher. Now we go to parent. What boundaries you set?
The main thing is when you start out being a parent, you have to set those boundaries as per what is life and death. That was the first thing. Stay out of the windows, different than don't touch the electric socket, those different things. And as it evolves, then it becomes those other things like don't get in the car with strangers. Don't take candy from a stranger. Setting bedtimes, I think, is super important. Kids thrive and I know that a lot of people don't believe this, but they thrive with structure. You can give them structure, and all the chaos can still happen within a structured period, which is so much better for the kid to help them grow and help them move forward. And if people don't believe me, I have a structured thing in my household, and I have 3 high honor roll students. Just being real.
Being real on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City Made, Mr. EZ BlueZ. Boundaries on a stress level as a parent. What are some times to go off? What are some times to, set back and realize about the situation, how you're going to execute it? Because there's a lot of rules with just like keeping your cool and, letting them know you are the dad.
Right. Well, see, that's the whole thing. Is it goes with natural selection and all this type of stuff. You have the Oedipal complex. You have all these different things that are hardwired into our anatomy and into our DNA. So you're going to have those pushback things just because societally we have those pushback aspects. I've actually taken a lot more time to sit and think each time something like that happens, because one, you have to remember that they're still new here.
It's true.
They're still brand new. They've never done this before.
No.
They've never thought before.
No.
They've never, so this is all a new experience to them. Something that I've done 1.5 million times, like wiping from back to front or front to back, however you're supposed to do it. You got to make sure that those things are taken care of in the right type of aspect. And it becomes second nature to me because I already spent my 10,000 hours. I'm in that point in time right now where I'm showing them how to walk their 10,000 hours to master their life.
Now, expressing your feelings responsibly when it comes to these boundaries.
Yeah,
what are some ways, in your perspective, in your point of view, of how you would do that, in today's world?
Well, it's not just today's world, because today's world, we're getting to a point where this is actually how everyone should be treated. Everyone should be treated as an equal, and everyone should be treated, treat people the way you want to be treated is a golden rule. And that's really how things should get back to.
I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. But it's a thin line when you say treated how you want to be treated. So, something that may be real cool to you, feeling good wise.
Right.
Is not perceived well from another individual's eyes.
Right.
So I think the best. Go ahead.
There's a lot to calculate in. There's a lot to calculate in that. Like people can do the sociological study of 2 different communities where you have like and again, I'm speaking as a token white guy on this. Okay. A token straight cis white guy on this, but where you have the community of the African American community and the LGBTQ plus community for a very long time. The only way males were accepted in the in the Caucasian community that were of color was if they were overly effeminized, and that puts this huge wedge in. So now that there are those that are effeminate, they're getting bashed upon because they feel like that's the only way they're going to get accepted. You have to calculate for all those different things in there. It's what makes socializing so difficult and why, it can be so rough. But you have to think, how will that other person think of what I'm saying? I do it when I'm writing lyrics all the time. Oh my goodness, could this be co-opted to say something super negative? I shouldn't say that this way. I shouldn't say it this way. That's one of the key points. I remember I'd actually at one point had written a song that the chorus was and all lives matter, and then that whole controversy came through with the people who were co-opting the all lives matter aspect to dehumanize the Black Lives Matter movement. And I was like, I can't sing this song. I can't write this song. So I threw it away.
I get that, but from when it comes to expressing like your feelings responsibly, for me, I like to be very blunt with people. Not boring blunt.
Right.
Not boring blunt at all. I put a little personality in my voice. So my vibration is up when I speak to people, but I try not to go into legal. Let's say for example, let's say for my example, age difference.
Right.
You know, I'm a 36-year-old male and I'm talking to a teenager who's like 14, 15, who sees the world completely different than I saw the world because I have more experience living than that
Right.
person. So I will talk blunt, but I will talk polite at the same time.
Right.
If I'm not, I cannot be treated like this, or if I congratulate them on something, I'll be very blunt, so they get a good understanding where I'm from. But if I try to talk to them at their level, for me personally, that's just not going to work out.
No, no, I get not
Yeah.
wanting to talk to them at that level. It's
Mhm.
more the fact of trying to have an understanding of the level in which you can speak to them.
Exactly.
Is really what it comes down to. Because there are certain
Perfect.
things, there are certain conversations I don't have with my children because they're children. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? There are just certain things we don't talk about that are off table. It's not that when they get older these conversations can happen. Like we were actually talking today. We were talking about when Raw goes to Netflix and how it's going to be uncensored.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, I'm going to have to really watch a couple episodes before I'm okay with you watching it. My kid's
Exactly.
going to be 14.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my kid's sorry, my kid's going to be 15.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to look at it going, I might not allow you to watch Monday Night Raw. Like it just might not be there. Like you're not allowed to watch The Boys. I told them they can be 46 years old, and I'll still tell them they're not allowed to watch The Boys.
You're a good parent. But The Boys is like a 25 and up plus show.
Yeah, word,
it's,
word.
it's really out there. And
Yeah,
for our audience who doesn't know about The Boys, it's if superheroes exist in the real world today, that's what it would be like. That's what it
like
definitely would
the
be like.
reality of
Yeah, the
superheroes.
reality of
Yeah,
superheroes in today's world of 2024 would be The
mhm.
Boys. And once you watch The Boys, you need to count your blessings that superpowers are not real.
For real, for real.
You really do. But yeah, just like just back where you were talking about, yeah, it all comes to perception as reality when just talking just to
Hmm.
different age groups. I remember when I was a manager at a fast food restaurant,
Hmm.
some stuff I thought was joking around wasn't necessarily funny to the person who was working under me, who was like, 10, 15 years, a little bit younger,
Yep.
people react differently to how you talk and to them. Let's say, for example, actually, you were talking about touching
Hmm.
a little earlier in the broadcast, hugging.
Hmm.
Hugging can get a little bit suspect when it
Side
comes.
hug,
Yeah,
side hug, side
that
hug. You get
any
shoulder.
kind of shoulder hug, just from
Yep.
what I saw, just through my point of view,
Hmm.
that's bad when it comes to just
Yep.
interacting with people. Because normally, 10, 15, 20 years back, a hug was a hug. Give him a little hug. Didn't matter who it
Yep.
was, man, male or female. Give him a little hug
Hmm.
was like a sign, of kindness. Now it's
Hmm.
just, if you hug too much, if you hug a little bit, people get, a little bit
Yeah.
triggered and a little bit tired because you don't know what they've been through,
Yep.
so you
That's
calm
why I'm a
calm
dapper.
back.
I'm a dapper. I dap
Yeah,
everybody.
I mean, some people are even doing the hobby man down now. They're not even dapping; they're just giving like a little head nod and just moving on. Like there's no
Right.
interaction nowadays. It's crazy for me as I get older just to see that.
Do
You
you ever
know,
think like the head nod is just like the up scroll in real life? You know what I mean? Instead of the TikTok up scroll, you just give them the head nod to change the screen. You're like, yep, no, new screen. Nah, I don't like this one.
yeah. You don't know nowadays now, man. It's crazy. It's crazy just to see how we're gonna greet each other in the next shoot. I ain't gonna say double digits. I'm gonna say 5 years.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird. Look,
Let me say 5 years
we
from now.
we we are at the dawn of something
Hmm.
terrifying. Like
Yeah.
no matter what you how you look at it,
Hmm.
right now, the U.S. as a country is having the worst teenage growth spurt in the history of forever,
Oh
and
man.
there's so much division and there's so much hurt feelings from all around, and everyone is so concerned about their own feeling, their own process, and all this
Yeah.
kind of stuff. They can't find a common ground, and it's going to come to a point. And go ahead, brother.
said common ground. What are some common ground ways we can not take stuff personally from people? Because that's a sign of growing up.
Well, one of the things is you have to remember, like I say this all the time, and I think it frees me up from a lot.
Mm,
Other people's opinion of me is none of my business.
that's true.
You know, they can love me or hate me. I don't care. I'm still the same person I am today that I am tomorrow. You know,
Applaud
all
that.
those people that like mispronounce my name. I don't care what you call me as long as the name is right
Yeah.
on the check. You know, and to go back to an old show, it's $100 to get me out of bed. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? It's that type of aspect of, you know, as long as the name is right on the check, I don't care what you call me. You know, I don't care what your opinion is of me. I know that I did my job, I did it correctly, and I got compensated for it. And that's all I care about.
Yeah, I agree with the same way. I think ways not to take stuff personally is, will it matter 5 years from now?
Yeah.
Will it matter 6 years from now? Is it stopping me from doing what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
Can I tolerate this for a little bit? Because,
Mm-hmm.
we can pick or choose our battles. We can pick or choose our environment. That's the
Yep.
best part about life. If we feel, we're just that aggravated for a person, there's no need to fight and, get violent and just
Right.
go just crazy. We can just pluck ourselves out the environment. I think our problem is we want to stay too good to a certain group of people, a certain individual, or a certain environment because we want to remain loyal. But at the end of the day, being loyal turns into stupidity. And then we're
Right.
just in this little box that we necessarily don't need to stay in. We can just direct ourselves, move out that box because everybody's replaceable at the end of the day when it comes to jobs, relationships, so on and so on. It's better to move yourself out first in that situation before you get pushed out. And if you get pushed out,
Right.
you're going to feel a lot worse. That's how I
No,
feel.
it definitely is, and that makes
Mhm.
a ton of sense because we talk about it. We've talked about it on the show a bunch of times.
Yeah.
The first 2 weeks of American Idol, you watch people, who are horrible, and I say those are the people that don't have good friends. I want someone to agree with me until I'm going to embarrass myself. If I'm
Mm,
going to go embarrass myself more than just my normal typical, hey, look at me, I'm being ridiculous.
yeah.
But if I'm like actually going to embarrass myself, I want a friend good enough to be like, don't do that. I have a comedian friend who runs some jokes by me every once in a while, and
Yeah.
he sees things differently than I see things.
Hmm.
But there's been a couple times I'm like, don't ever tell that joke again. I judge it by will I punch you in the face. If I will punch you in the face for telling me this joke, you can never tell that joke. And that's because that's the way that I look at it. If it gives someone the opportunity or the thing of like, that guy just said that. I want to punch him in the face. That's probably something you never want to say.
Mm.
That's kind of how I look at it. I don't care what people think about me, but I'm also not going to say something that's going to allow someone just to haul off and belt me in the mouth.
As a stage performer, what are
Mm-hmm.
ways to hold those boundaries within yourself and the crowd and within yourself and your bandmates? Because there could be some times where, you know, stuff didn't turn out well as practice went well.
Right.
Stuff didn't turn out well when that certain haggler's the right word? Yeah, haggler.
Yeah.
Heckler.
Heckler.
Heckler is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
that's the right term, right?
Yes.
Heckler comes into that crowd and tries to interrupt a set that you worked really hard on, maybe
Mm-hmm.
weeks or even, months
Yeah.
on, just to make sure that's right in perfection. Because when you're out on that stage, man, you're not just sitting down a microphone, you're dancing, you're performing, you're
Yeah.
interacting with the crowd, you're making sure they get the best experience possible because they put
Yeah.
time in their effort to be there.
Well, one of the key things to do is one. I understand that I'm going to be completely wiped out by the end of the performance. I'm going to be
Mm.
exhausted. I'm going to need a second to sit. I'm going to need to chill. So I know that I'm about to give it my all.
Yeah,
Um, you
200%.
know, yeah, exactly. Um, but the main thing is really it's when I'm performing, it's more playing with the boundaries than setting them.
Mm.
Especially like with the wireless mic where I can come out into the crowd and I can like sit down at your table
Right.
and sing directly to you and kind of like be a little bit more obnoxious and upfront with it. Or walk up behind the bar and do a shot while I'm in the middle of doing a song. Those type of to me it's about playing with those boundaries
Yeah.
and making
Okay.
it that full experience. Again, where it's something that where someone goes, yo, last night I saw this band. There was a stuffed penguin on stage, and the singer disappeared halfway through, and then all of a sudden he was next to me and doing a shot with me, all while the song was still playing. Like, I can't believe I missed that. Like that. Those are the type of experiences I want to give the person at the show. So, it's about me playing those boundaries. But as for like hecklers, I don't care. You know what I mean? Yeah, you suck, probably. I mean, we all do for enough. You know what I mean? That's really what you got to look at it and just kind of take their power away. Luckily, I had a grandfather who taught me, how to deal with that kind of stuff at a really young age. He was rather brutal with it, but it gave me a thick skin.
Speaking of thick skin, some people may not have that thick skin. What are some social cues that you learned from the crowd?
Well, there's certain things. One, you know if you're doing something right if they're all entertained and they're all into it. But also, there's certain vibes in which you can look at through the crowd, and it's something that I really picked up more doing the door than anything else was to try to read the crowd itself to see if there's an issue. Where does the issue stem from? Could it be because of the miscommunication? Could it be just because someone came here looking for a fight? There's those different things that aspect. Did someone just have a really bad day, or did they pregame a ton? Did they pregame a bottle of tequila before they walked in my door? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know this person's going to be a problem. Or when we were at Mark Lyon's birthday party, there was someone there with one black eye, and he was massively erratic, and I kept referring to him as, I think this guy needs to be told twice. And then he got his butt kicked and asked to leave because he needed to be told twice. So he had two black eyes at the end of the day. Because, what do you tell a guy who has two black eyes?
What do you tell him?
Nothing. He's already been told twice.
Music criticism when it comes to the people, your bandmates. I think that was the second part I had with that too.
Yeah, well, one of the key things is what I love about what we do is everything is we talk about every little aspect of it. Everything is we all agree on it, or it's not going to go in. There's been pieces that we're just like, no, I'm not really feeling it. It doesn't feel right at this point in time. And if one of us doesn't feel right, none of us try to force it. We go on to the next thing or to the next movement. If there's a show if we're doing a show, all four of us have agreed to do the show. If we do, if one person's like, I don't get a good feeling from the show, we don't do the show. Because nothing's worse than that one person like gloating then. I told you it was going to be a horrible show, and nah, we're good. You don't feel it? I'm not feeling it. Cool. It's good. There are certain promoters that we will, look at and be like, look at our text message and be like, oh, homie wants us to play. I'm not even going to tell this to the band because I don't want to do this, and this is a no. It's certain promoters that just have that type of feel and vibe to you. But it all has to do with communication and making sure that you are communicating properly and giving as much as you take in the conversation.
Do you feel like you guys are hard on yourself sometimes?
Oh, I'm 100%. I'm my worst critic ever. And I'll always be my worst critic because at the end of the day, and I say this fully and to the point where, there was a point in time in which I probably should have been hospitalized for it, but like I don't like myself, at all. I'm not a fan. We are not friends.
You're not a fan of you?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of me. I don't like myself at all. I'm that's how hard. I could have always do things better. I could have done it better this way. I could have used my intelligence better this way. I could have X, Y, and Z done this better this way. I could have not gone into the bar that night. All those different type of things. I know I could have done better. It was in my control. So I hold myself to a super high standard that I will never achieve. And that is something that I'm working on in therapy. But I don't see it ever changing. Are they trying to show me that I've actually accomplished a lot at my age and doing what I'm doing? Yes. Do I believe them? Not yet, but we're getting there. So I'm super, super hard on myself. I need the other three guys there to tell me that it's okay, so that I can feel good about it. But that's just me, because perfection is my only goal.
As being a fellow introvert, what are your professional ways of setting boundaries when it comes to declining stuff you don't want to do?
Well, again, I believe in the matching your energy type of aspect of it, because
Okay.
there are some
We did
people
talk
that
about
just
that,
need
yeah.
yeah. Well,
I was
no,
gonna,
there are just some people who need to be meted with go fly away, as I could try to say it on air.
yeah.
You know, go fly away. Um, Fly away far and hard. You know what I mean?
Mm,
There's you know some people who need that they need that hard boundary of,
they do.
if you take another step closer, I'm going to punch you in the face. You know, and then there's also those people who just have those softer boundaries of like, oh, it's Monday, we don't call him on Monday, or like, hey, I have a soft boundary with all of my friends. If you call me at 2 o'clock in the morning, you better be dying. You know.
It's completely understandable. It really is completely understandable.
Right.
But I want to get more what you said before this answer. I want to get more. I don't want to get too personal, but I
Mm-hmm.
know you felt expectations on yourself
Yeah.
because you're not the only person that feels this way. There's
Mm-hmm.
people in numerous age groups where they
Right.
feel they haven't determined their level of success because there's
Right.
the best part about this world, there is over 6 billion people on this planet, and each one has a different definition of what they feel is successful. Some people want to be famous, some people
Right.
don't want to be famous at all. Some people are happy where they are in life. Doesn't matter if they're poor, doesn't matter if they're rich. There's so many possibilities of what they determine is the dream life for themselves. Um, as a person overcoming, as a person
Mm-hmm.
in their journey of healing, as a person learning how to be happy with the complete you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself and the person I'm asking this question to, Mr. Easy Blues. Um, what are some boundaries that you set yourself to remove those negative thoughts without therapy, to remove that demon in your head telling you that you're not enough?
See, that's the weird part for me. I
Hmm.
don't remove it. I just acknowledge it's there and
Right.
kind of move forward. And I try to take away its power by saying I
Hmm.
don't believe it.
Right.
You know, but it's always there, and
Hmm.
it's loud and it's crazy. And I'm
Okay.
on, you know, I'm also being medicated for it and those different type of things. So like
Right.
when we tell you it's a serious case, it's a serious case. Um, but you know, and for some people, you should be able to switch off that voice in your head. For some
Right.
people, I'm talking about voices in my head, and they're going, I have no idea what you're talking about. You know, and that's fine too, because
Yeah.
everyone's
Of course.
experience is a little bit different. You know, but my constant narrative is more of the failures. I can tell you 1.5 million things I've done wrong and failed at, more than I can tell you the things I've succeeded at. Although one of the things that I have noticed is when I was younger, all I wanted to do was be a musician and play in front of people and
And
have
you're
all my
doing it.
friends be musicians.
And you're
And I'm
doing it.
actually doing that,
And you're doing it.
which is pretty dope.
You're doing it.
You know, so I have taken some time to see some different perspectives and different angles. You know, that being said, bread is freaking expensive, and I'd like to be getting paid more.
Do you feel the young Easy will be proud of this Easy today?
Probably not.
Hmm. Okay.
Probably not.
All right. We're not going to get more into it then. We're not going
Yeah.
to get more into
Well,
it
no,
then.
no.
We're not going to
Mainly
get more into it.
because,
Yeah.
yeah, you know,
We won't get into
you
it.
know,
That's too
yeah, exactly.
personal. That's
Yeah.
therapeutic.
Right.
That's your journey. I respect you. I love you, and you are a fighter. You know that. But I think ways that'll probably like help you just within your boundaries to even set more healthier boundaries for
Right.
yourself. I think you are surrounded by your family. I think that's a
Mm-hmm.
great boundary. I think they make you feel complete. They make you feel like you're a better person. And I think they make you feel like you have more purpose in your life, not
Right.
just for, fighting for them, making sure they get to their destiny, but making sure just for you as well, too, that you
Mm-hmm.
are accomplishing something. You are
Right.
accomplishing bringing in three great human beings in this world when you are not here
Right.
to continue your legacy, to continue
Right.
the good nature that you bring to people. You're bringing that energy into 3 great human beings so they can bring that energy into more people so that will continue
I
into
appreciate that.
endless
Thank you.
generation. That's a healthy boundary. Another healthy
thank you.
boundary you have is your music and everything. You need that to get by.
Yeah,
Even if Shane Penguin broke away tomorrow, you will be writing tomorrow. You will be playing a guitar tomorrow. It doesn't matter what happens. The music will still be here. The music will still be in that sense. So the music is like your 4th child.
Yeah. Well,
It's
to be honest with you,
definitely
music was actually more of a parent to me than anything else. You know, because you know when I was growing up, you know, I learned more about what should be a man from Sam Cooke and Otis Redding and you know all those different type of aspects than I ever did from having a paternal figure. And again, I'm not. This isn't a boo-hoo me, yada yada yada. This is just the reality of it. I appreciate the way that I grew up because it became who I am today. And you know, a lot of people need to start really appreciating even the chaos. The chaos is still helped make me who I am. You know, and that is unto itself is something that's pretty dope. And the fact that hey, I also survived it. You know, not many people can say they survived. You know, a SWAT team kicking in the door and you know shooting 2 pit bulls by your face around you. You know what I mean?
Oh boy.
Yeah. My mom used to know some really bad people.
Well, you know, not to stray away from the topic. I feel we all can create different boundaries. We all can set great boundaries for ourselves. It doesn't have to be too big. It can be a boundary for a week. We have one boundary of a week that we can do good. And then and if we feel good that we're being consistent with that boundary, because boundaries give us discipline, and discipline is extremely healthy for the human body. Extremely. For example, me just moving around more and just exercise a little bit more. I did this morning. Push myself to do it again the next day, then the day after that. And if I feel I completed these exercise steps, move on to a new task so I can be movable. You know, the goal, I would love to have a 6-pack, but my goal is to be movable when I'm in my 60s, 70s, and pray to God 80s and 90s, you know, so I won't struggle to move and, you know, breathe. You know, I want to focus on what I got now and to make this body a little bit better, you know, as decades move on for myself. So that's another.
Yeah, for real. Because like when I'm 80 and you're 70, you're gonna have to go skydiving with me. So that's when I'm doing all the crazy stuff. Like when I'm super old, oh yeah, I'm going skydiving, I'm going cliff diving. Because if I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out like a rock star. You know what I mean? Like I'm doing
speaking of going out, please give some great inspiring words right here on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, and my daredevil of a friend, Mr. Easy BlueZ. Give us some of those great words to with boundaries and setting your goals and to appreciate what you have for the now. Please tell our audience.
Well, the main thing is setting boundaries is super healthy, and it's something that's needed to have a better you. And a better you will help make everything else better down the road as well. You know, you are important enough to have those boundaries set. You are important enough to have those boundaries respected. You are important enough to have those boundaries in place. You are the only one you have. So take good care of yourself. Understand that we need you here. Understand that we love the fact that you're here. And I'd much rather spend a late night hearing all about all the things that were wrong than hear all the good things that happened to you in a eulogy. So please let me know, hit me up, and we'll work on setting some beautiful boundaries.
On WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Preston, and Mr. EZ BlueZ. We appreciate everyone. Thank you so much.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know.